This podcast is recorded on stolen and unceded Aboriginal land.
We acknowledge the First Nations and elders of this country and join their calls for justice. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land.
I've been spending too much time around all the just women like my mum, all the Mullen women.
Oh, yes?
Seeing signs everywhere and, analysing my dreams and stuff. Everything means something.
Oh, really? What are the signs?
Oh, there are so many signs, Tom. You wouldn't even believe how many signs there are.
A lot of signs.
Hi, everyone. I'm back.
Yay!
Thank you for bearing with me while I've been taking some time. For anyone who maybe hasn't listened to the last couple of episodes and is now dipping back in, I've had a couple of weeks off because my mum passed away unexpectedly. So obviously, unfortunately not just totally all better now. And maybe my brain still won't work as well, but I wanted to come back and rejoin the show in amidst all of my dealing with death and shit. So thank you. And thank you for all of the lovely messages as well. There have been lots of lovely messages. Everyone is really freaking nice. So
the Danger Dogs, yes, were delightful. Huge amount of love and solidarity pouring out across all the various platforms. Thank you, team. We really appreciate it. Someone, do you like flowers? Someone texted me asking for your address so they can send you flowers. Okay.
I have got a bit of I'm kind of running a florist in here at the moment, though, so maybe don't need any more. I've got flowers that we've now taken home from the funeral as well, so I think I've got plenty of flowers. That's very lovely, though. Okay. I've been thinking, I was like, normally we do a funny chat up top, and I don't know if I have anything funny, but
oh, come on. Fucking hell.
Yes,
I'm working my ass off over here. Jesus Christ, everyone. Really rude. Rudeness.
Yeah. I don't know if there's the administrivia of death. I just think anyone who's been through this, obviously, and the bureaucracy of death that I've been dealing with is absurd, if not funny.
There is nothing funny about death, Emerald. This week has taught us nothing funny is about death. And if you express any joy about a terrible person dying, you're a piece of shit and you're the worst person in the world. But
you're saying my mum was a terrible person? So what are you saying, Tom?
Put me on mute or something. I'm not helping today.
That's really fucked up. No, I mean, I was saying to you, Tom, before the show that the experience of going to your loved one's home, going to my mum's home after she's died, and having something waiting in the mailbox and it being a bill from fucking New South Wales ambulance.
Jesus Christ.
Is just insane. The fact, why the fuck does the ambulance cost money in the first place? And you didn't even, what did you do? Didn't work, did it? No, that's cool. I mean, I'm sorry. Look, paramedics do a great job, and I'm sure it was deeply
they should be like lawyers. It's like no win, no fee kind of.
No win, no fee, that's right. No mum, no fee. Oh, God.
Okay, if anyone's disturbed by this is processing grief. This is how laughter works. Oh, God. Do you know Tig Notaro, the comedian? Does that ring a bell?
No.
At all? She's very funny, and she released a special years ago to take this set. It's called Tig Notaro Live, where she comes out on stage and basically announces the fact that she had to have a double mastectomy and she had breast cancer. She had this horror year basically, and then just proceeded to do a very funny set. Got the cancer, got another intense health condition, and also her mum passed away. Oh, and she went through a breakup at all. It was all just a shit show.
Christ.
But her mum dies at the hospital. She gets back home and ends a letter from a hospital that's like a customer survey, like a feedback on your experience at the hospital.
Do you really want to hear? Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, not great. Not great. No, 0 stars from me. About
not satisfied. Yeah. My expectations were not met.
Sad face. Yeah. On that
Sad
little.
Face. That's right. Yeah. Drag the scale all the way to the left.
All right. Well, we love you, Emerald. We're glad you're back. Let's do a show.
To be honest, nature deserves better. If you want to make a difference to the environment, instead of hiring Adam Bandt, they should have planted a tree.
We're stuck with the hosts of Chapo Shithouse podcast.
Serious Danger Australia.
That show is Serious Danger, a podcast about green politics in Australia. It's not an official Greens Party podcast. It's produced by Michael the Griffin and made possible with the help of the Green Institute. Hey, maybe if you want to be the executive director of the Green Institute, as Tim Hollow announced last week, he's moving on. So
career changes are big. at the moment. So, yeah.
So hot right now.
Put in an application. So in right now. This podcast is, of course, did you just say that it's produced by Michael the Griff Griffin?
Yes,
If you
Emerald,
did, I'm
come on,
saying it again,
focus.
because
Keep your head in the game. What's wrong with you?
I don't know what's wrong. I don't know. But hey, yes, I'm Emerald Moon. That's Tom Ballard. I am, of course, as always, recording in Mianjin on Yagara and Turrbal country.
I'm in Nam on the lands of the Wurundjeri and Bunurong people. Thanks for joining us. Great to have you back, Emerald. This week we are checking in on, some Greens career changes, some updates, Greens friends all over the country doing some interesting stuff, and we're going to talk about what that means pretty briefly. And then we have a little bit of news about the future of Serious Danger and some updates
Forward
and some
sizzle.
things. Forward sizzle.
Forward sizzle. We have some new subscribers on the Patreon, patreon.com/Serious Danger AU. You can sign up there. It's just $3 a month. You also can switch to a yearly support model where you can have 12 months of being a patron for $32, which is a $4 discount. I mean, sure, yep, go for it. But look, if you do that, you support the show. That's how we pay Mike's wages and keep the show going. And you get access to an extra episode every couple of weeks, bonus content. People who have signed up recently, shout out Leafy Green. Beth, Leafy Green, that's what Mum was going to call me, but she ended up just going with Emerald. Beth,
Leafy
Sue,
Green Moon. Oh.
Yeah. Beth, Sue, Hayden, Jasnix, Maria, Big Dog with the Big Log.
Yeah, that's a shame, that one.
Sure. Our latest Patreon episode we just put out recently is our discussion with Dr. Richard Dennis from the Australia Institute about his essay on how centrism is killing us all and everything. It's a really good chat. I hope people have enjoyed it. If you haven't listened, have a listen.
Get involved.
Former Greens candidate Hannah Thomas is taking New South Wales police to court after she suffered serious damage to her eye during an arrest at a pro-Palestine protest.
The charges against me, which included a ridiculous charge relating to Cronulla riot-era emergency powers, should never have been brought. So it's a relief that they've finally been dropped.
The charges were clearly unsustainable from the very beginning, and as a result, they've now been withdrawn, and that should have happened probably a long time ago.
Hannah and her legal team are chasing costs in the local court. They're pushing for the police officer involved to be charged, and they're pursuing a civil suit in the Supreme Court against police.
In relation to what we've previously described and continue to describe as a malicious prosecution, an assault and battery by police.
All right, before we get on to this news, there is a lot going on out there for members of the Australian Greens. They're up to all sorts of things. Firstly, an update on our friend and comrade Hannah Thomas. Hannah Thomas, who was arrested at a Sydney protest in June, will sue New South Wales police after the force dropped all charges against the former Greens candidate. Thomas was arrested and charged alongside 4 others at a pro-Palestine protest in Sydney on the 27th of June. That was attended by about 60 people at SEC Plating. We discussed this at length on the show. The 35-year-old was taken to hospital and underwent 2 rounds of surgery to her right eye, with her lawyers alleging a police officer punched her in the face. I'm sure folks have seen the images. She's rocking the eye patch around the place. She was at the protest on the bridge. She's fearless and still protesting and turning up for Palestine because she's a hero. On Tuesday at Bankstown Local Court, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions said it was dropping the 3 charges against Thomas. One of the charges include a rarely used emergency power introduced after the 2005 Cronulla riots. I remember talking about that, thinking that was insane and excessive, of course. In this case that they're making, Thomas and her lawyer will allege that New South Wales police pursued a malicious prosecution and that Hannah was the victim of assault and battery by police, abuse of process, and malfeasance in office. Malfeasance.
Malfeasance. That's a good word. Like, did they give a reason? Whenever they drop charges like this, what's the police justification? Because do they just come out and go, oh, this is probably just not going to make us look very good and it was kind of bullshit to start with? What do they say?
I guess not. And I guess because they're getting sued over these charges, the police can say, well, it's a matter before the courts, which is true. And there's an extent to which limits probably how much we can sort of weigh into it for fear of being charged of malfeasance or contempt of court ourselves. But yes, I guess the cops are just like, yes, well, there's a case involving, so no further comment will be made at this time. just a very basic update. We're not going to do these charges. We charged them real quick when we were sure, and the head of the police watched over the footage and said, I don't see any evidence of misconduct here or whatever, and she was definitely doing the wrong thing. But yes, all 3 charges dropped pretty quickly.
Indeed.
Thomas on Tuesday said outside the court, no cops have been held to account for their behaviour that day. The punch I sustained was just one example of police brutality. That morning, the actions of every cop at that protest should be reviewed. It took the police 2 days to charge me, but 73 days later, the male police officer who punched me in the head with enough force to rip open my right eyeball has not been charged. She also, lent solidarity to her fellow protesters who are also facing similar charges, who have also all pled not guilty. I just noticed of her health, because I think we're all sort of worried or invested in that particular side of it. Thomas is waiting for a date for a 3rd round of surgery on her eye. She told Guardian Australia she continued to suffer double and blurred vision due to silicone oil injected into her eyeball during surgery. The 35-year-old said she would know how much vision she would regain after the next operation, when that oil was removed. And sorry, I should have given a warning that I know people like eye stuff is
eyeball
pretty gross,
stuff.
So.
Yeah. I guess so. It's just one of those things that we don't know yet. We'll see or not see.
And obviously we're gutted for you, Hannah, and hopefully, yes, obviously, yes, losing sight at 35 would be very difficult. But again, the attitude, the fearlessness that she showed in the face of all this is very admirable, very inspiring.
It is.
I tell you what, in the reporting in this and the ABC as well, we got this kind of sentiment. Protesters allege the company, that's SEC Plating, supplies components used in the manufacture of F-35 jets, the class of jets flown by the Israel Defense Forces, which SEC Plating denies.
Yeah.
That's all you get in any of the reporting. The protesters say this, the company says this. Hey,
who can say?
Who could
Surely,
possibly know
if
the
anyone
truth?
can figure this out, isn't that what journalists are meant to do? They're then meant to go, and here's the information that might help you understand what that actually means. I don't know. I wish I had the skills to figure out what's going on here. I could only speculate that it's they're well, we deny that we supplied them directly to the IDF. And so they just issue a denial. The ABC the media just prints that instead of going, however, this is what the protesters
talk to the protesters and say, what is your evidence based on this? Now, look, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant to the way that the protesters were treated by the police, of course, and they're peaceful protesting. And so regardless, no one should be getting punched in the face and losing their sight. I guess, I don't know. I mean, I'm very much prone to believe the protesters after all the misinformation and bullshit that we've heard about denials about companies and governments' complicity in arming Israel during this genocide. Of course, my instinct is to say, that's probably correct, and we're getting corporate bullshit here. But it just seemed bizarre to me that we can't get a definitive answer there either way.
Yeah.
Anyway, love and solidarity and respect to Hannah Thomas. We wish you all the best, and thank you for being you and standing up for doing it. And can we say good luck? Is that contempt of court?
With the next surgery? With the court case. I think you can say good luck.
Good luck. Yeah. I hope justice prevails.
And what would that mean? Yes.
Changing the story of Alice Springs. It's the slogan Asta Hill campaigned on and is now promising to deliver in her new role as mayor, winning the race by 56 votes late on Friday.
I'm still pinching myself, I won't lie. But very, very joyful at the moment.
Ms Hill has made history as the first Greens-endorsed candidate to be elected as mayor in the Territory. She wants to talk proudly about the outback town after years of crime-focused media attention.
We as locals have been feeling those impacts for a number of years. So, that opportunity to tell the real story about this town and see the positive impacts flow from that is something that the community's really gotten behind.
The new mayor also campaigned on creating positive spaces for young people to address boredom in the town.
Part of it is giving young people, children and families more to do, accepting that we do have a boredom problem in this town, so opening up public spaces to young people.
To the Northern Territory, congratulations to former Serious Danger co-host, Asta Hill. She joined me on episode 135 during the Northern Territory election last year when she was the Greens candidate for Breitling. But she had some very good news this week. A Greens-endorsed candidate has been elected Alice Springs mayor for the first time following the return of local government election results in the NT. Lawyer Asta Hill won by 56 votes after the distribution of preferences in Alice Springs, beating second place to Eli Melky and 4 other candidates. So she came home with the highest primary vote of 32%. In two-party preferred, it was 50.3%.
Crazy.
Which is very close indeed.
Yeah, and seems to be, I mean, they must be right on that edge, like the balance between the 3 main contenders in the NT, the kind of results that they're getting there, I guess, is a product of exactly where those parties are sitting in terms of the preferential voting system. But it's it's come out in the Greens' favour, and some fucking good news for once.
Yes. Imagine winning. Remember winning? Winning's happening again, everyone.
I had begun to forget. Yes.
I think, I heard her being interviewed afterwards. She said, she was pretty much the only progressive candidate. So all the progressive vote, of course, coalesces around the Asta Hill candidacy in that respect. So that's good news. And the other 2 lead counts are a bit more conservative. Miss Hill said she was in a state of absolute shock after being elected. I'll be perfectly honest with you, the result is a real surprise to me, she told ABC Radio Darwin. She said she'd campaigned hard on changing the story of Alice Springs following years of crime-focused national media coverage. Particularly as mayor, it's going to be important that I change the way that we talk about this town. She said while the tough-on-crime CLP NT government was using division and fear for political advantage, the people of Alice Springs had voted for connection and hope.
She seems very cool. Watching her campaign in Breitling as well, I thought, I am excited by this, and I'm fucking excited by this, even more so perhaps.
Great news. And again, just a reminder that, yes, the law and order narrative, when that is, front and foremost amongst people's minds, when it is the issue, the left can win. Like, we can actually tell a different story and approach this and yes, provide a different narrative. And when crime is up, it doesn't necessarily need, or at least when there's an incredible focus on issues surrounding law and order facing a community, there is a way to campaign and speak to people directly. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on everything that Asta was campaigning on. It seems like getting, local folks invested and, having consultative democracy, particularly when it comes to sort of regeneration of the township in Alice Springs, seems to be a big issue that she was sort of campaigning on there. But I just think it's a good reminder that we can't just shrug and give up when it's about law and order and crime, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that, yes, like ordinary people are not as heinous and callous and cruel as politicians, and as politicians make them out to be. Politicians are like, well, we have to do this. This is what the community wants. They want to lock everyone up. Not quite the case.
Do you think this is weird? Asta Hill declared on her How to Vote card that she's endorsed by the NT Greens, but the Alice-born lawyer and mother of 2 has made it clear that in the council I would be voting as Asta.
I do find that weird, but I don't really know I don't know the context, like how they do their council elections. I don't know what funding she got from the party, what volunteer support she got. So I don't know. And it sounds as though she's saying I won't be voting in accordance with party policy. I don't know as well what the NT Greens
or be bound by it, I suppose.
Yeah,
Which I don't know. You find this across the board. Like, local elections is sort of this place where you can be kind of aligned with the party, but you don't have to be explicit, and the idea of party politics sort of disappears, which is just so crazy. It's like, local city councillors are politicians, and people should be able to be like, this is me, this is the political party I belong to, this is what I believe in. It's not the end of the world.
It's very interesting, isn't it?
Again, no shade on Asta here. Again, I don't know enough about it, but it's such a weird kind of relationship to party politics. And I do think, so if you've got a branch of the Greens in the city and someone who's been endorsed by your party and is a member of your party was won as the mayor, what kind of democratic obligations does that person have to the local party and party policy? Again, I don't want to shit on Asta Hill here. I just it's an interesting relationship, I think, between party politics and local elections.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree.
And then you got the guy she beat out, Eli Melky, who is a real estate agent. So he has not been successful, which is good news. He's previously been a member of the Palmer United Party, the Country Liberal Party, the Australian Country Party, and the Federation Party. but said he did not currently belong to any party. There is no room for party politics in council.
Right. Just to be super clear. Super, super clear. Right. What the fuck?
What an interesting man.
Yeah, indeed. And was there another Green elected to the council as well?
Yes. Congratulations to Aya Newport. Congratulations to them, who also received enough votes to elect them to the council, which is great news. Pretty awesome candidate, right? Aya Newport is one of 25 candidates vying for it to make the Alice Springs Town Council as progressive and revolutionary as possible.
Revolutionary.
Got a bit of attention when they, at a protest at the Joint Defence Facility at Pine Gap, said that the council must pressure the federal government to sanction Israel and to basically, cut out Pine Gap as a military organization from social and community events in Alice Springs.
Yeah.
Now, there was a bit of outrage at this because they thought people said they were implying that like Pine Gap employees shouldn't be allowed to go to something like the regatta. Whereas I think Aya Newport clarified, no, I'm talking about the kind of soft diplomacy or the kind of propaganda that you get from a Pine Gap military base competing in something like the Henley-on-Todd regatta with their logos and everything. And we're all saying, the Pine Gap is just a normal, fun, local business as part of the Alice Springs community, sort of saying, no, this is a military base that was set up by the CIA that is complicit in Israel's genocide right now. And the Alice Springs Council should have something to say about that.
Yes, as always, this persistent kind of the complication of when people buy capitalist propaganda that, workers have an actual interest in the entity itself, like the corporation itself, beyond just being exploited and they get a wage from it. But it's like you are people. The corporation is not you. The corporation is for profit, and they use you for that. Anyway.
Yes. We're talking about this institution, So congrats very much to Aya Newport and Asta Hill, and all the best on the Bandt Way Alice Springs Town Council. They are being sworn in on the 23rd of September. Best of luck.
I'm Adam Bandt, and I'm excited that next year I'll be the new CEO of ACF, Australia's largest people-powered movement for nature and climate. It's never been more important to make our voices heard. Nature is in crisis. People are sweltering through hot summers and worse bushfires, and floods are destroying homes. While coal and gas corporations make massive profits and pay no tax as they destroy this beautiful country we love. We need Parliament to protect koalas and people, not big gas corporations. This could be the Parliament that stops extinction, but we're going to have to make them listen. We've done it before, and we can do it again, but we can't do it without you. So follow ACF. The links are in the post and in my bio, and I'll see you in the new year.
Finally, Adam Bandt is no longer unemployed. He's off job seeker, everybody. The Australian Conservation Foundation's board has appointed former Greens leader Adam Bandt as the next CEO of the National Environment Group. Mr. Bandt will commence in the role in January of 2026. Kelly O'Shannessy, who has led the organisation for 11 years, will remain CEO until the end of this year. They said that Adam has the vision, the bravery and the experience required to meet the challenging years ahead. They talked to more than 300 different candidates.
Wow.
And Adam was unanimously supported as the guy for the job. Incoming CEO, Adam Bandt. It's just so weird to think of Adam Bandt as a CEO.
True.
Even if it is of the ACF. But there you go.
Funny.
It is a true privilege to help lead Australia's most respected voice for nature and climate at such a critical time. Climate collapse is beginning, nature is in crisis, and this is the parliament that can avoid extinction. This could be the best parliament ever for nature and climate. We're setting politicians a test. We hope they meet. He starts the gig in January of next year. He will not play any further role in the Greens.
What does that mean?
I know, it's ominous, isn't it? I mean, I guess the ACF, would have to, and probably for legal reasons and for their own purposes, would say they're a non-partisan organisation.
Yeah.
I assume, so maybe he stops being a member even? I don't know, but maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe the CEO, maybe that's the condition if you take on the job. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But that's where Mr. Bandt has landed.
I just think there are a lot of people employed by the ACF who would be Greens members. I mean, a lot of people employed by the ACF who would be Labor members also.
Yes. But they're not the CEO.
Sure.
And they weren't the former leader of that particular party. So I don't know. I'm putting words in people's mouths. But
yeah, I didn't know if that.
What are your thoughts of this move?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, like, to be honest, like many things at the moment, I don't have many thoughts on things, and I kind of see them come, and like I don't process news in the same way as I normally would or used to. But I saw this and I was like, yeah, okay, man's got to work, man's got to eat, got to have money coming in, and like I don't think it's that crazy for him to do. I'm kind of surprised that they would choose him.
Right. So, again, we've talked about this on a number of occasions in the show. The critique of the ACF is that it was supposed to be a lobbying body for the environment that seems to be pretty unambitious in its critique of the Labor Party and seems to see its view as to have a functioning, productive, quote-unquote, relationship of the Labor Party, even as the Labor Party takes deliberate and consistent and worsening steps to trash our environment. Good example of this. This is from episode 178. David Shoebridge on. It was just me and him, so you didn't get to hear this. But this was a Saturday paper profile on Murray Watt in the Saturday paper, before the Northwest Shelf decision. And Kelly O'Shannessy, who's the outgoing CEO of the Australian Conservation Foundation, said in that piece, I do think that Murray Watt is a good appointment because he has a reputation for fixing really hard things. If he grants Woodside its extension, she says, it would be devastating, particularly for the traditional owners of Murujuga, but for everyone who needs to live on the planet. Incredible quote. But we can't blame Murray Watt. It's the Labor Party's policy to support fossil fuels. She will still think him a good choice as minister. We do need a serious reformer, and by all accounts, that's what Murray Watt is.
I think, I feel like we did talk about this as well, unless I'm just remembering this piece.
Right.
But yeah, like that was a pretty interesting thing to say. I wonder if that was particularly representative of Kelly O'Shannessy. I don't know Kelly O'Shannessy, don't know much about them. But yeah, like perhaps there is a demand within the organisation for the kind of leadership that Adam can provide.
Yes, I'm hoping for the optimistic take, which is that, yes, Adam will, okay, it's a different role, and I think he would understand that. I'm sure they had lots of conversations about what his public advocacy will be, but based on his announcement video, based on knowing who Adam Bandt is, he's still gonna fucking bring it, and it might signify a slightly more aggressive or committed critique and a call to action, right? Which is exactly what we need in this moment of crisis. And Australia's biggest lobby group for the environment should fearlessly advocate for the environment and should call out the government, which happens to be governed by the Labor Party right now, which is funded by the fossil fuel industry and is ignoring climate science and holding their feet to the fire on that for sure.
Yes, and arguably Adam has form in kind of taking the leadership of an organisation and transforming it. I think he did that with the Greens. It was a pretty different party when he took the helm, when he took over from Richard Di Natale, and maybe he could, carry some of that over to ACF. I'd like to see that.
We will move on, but just this last bit, there was a truly insane piece in The Australian written by Greg Brown about this decision. That made me want to stab myself in the eyes. Mr. Bandt starts as ACF Chief Executive in January, and his appointment to the Green Lobby Group has raised eyebrows within Labor, with MPs accusing the former Greens leader of being a block to the Albanese government passing laws to improve environmental outcomes. Senator Watt, a fierce critic of the Greens, said it was up to Mr. Bandt to show he could work constructively with the government in his role at the ACF. The ACF is an important institution with a reputation for working constructively with governments to find solutions. I trust the ACF board has clear expectations that their incoming CEO will continue this tradition, Senator Watt told The Australian. Fuck you. You'll be shocked to learn that at no point in this article is there any mention of the fact that Anthony Albanese scuttled Tanya Plibersek's deal with the Greens to pass environmental legislation for the sake of the Western Australian fossil fuel industry. Not mentioned once.
It's always up to everyone else to negotiate and work in good faith with a government and a party, the Labor Party, who are not willing to negotiate or work in good faith with anyone else, and particularly with the Greens or the environmental movement. Yeah. But it's always up to someone else to come to the table and do whatever Labor wants.
But again, yeah, to make that point with the ACF, with the Climate Council too, just like the way they would present certain arguments and felt like they need to give credit, where it's like, no, fight for the environment. The environment is your number one client, and your advocacy should be informed by truth and science and morality. Fuck the Labour Party when they do the wrong thing. Yes.
Yeah.
And I certainly hope that Adam Bandt will maintain that attitude and keep fighting the good fight. That's my hope.
Change from within.
I would think it will also be very funny if Mary Watt and Adam Bandt have to sit down at a meeting and have these discussions.
Which they will.
They will.
Yeah, probably.
I'm going to do my comedy routine now, so I'm a little bit nervous as to what their tastes and attitudes are like in there, because we're all different. For example, we all have different ideas as to when it's the best time to make fun of a public figure who's died. Like, we all have our own dead Princess Diana jokes, but I got into a lot of trouble for what I did, which was to do a whole stand-up comedy routine consisting entirely of dead Diana jokes 5 minutes after the crash, while in Paris, going through an underpass, in a white Fiat Uno.
All right. Episode part 2, we have some news. First up, we have some exciting news, which is that
we're going to work for the Australian Conservation Foundation.
That's right. Some personal news. If you follow the episode numbers, you would realise that we are coming up to our 200th episode.
What?
And so we wanted to do something exciting to celebrate. And we are going to be having a live show in Melbourne. Yes, I will be coming back down to Melbourne.
Your favourite city, the greatest city in the world.
I will say, I have loved our previous live shows at the Comedy Republic, and that is where we will be back for our 200th episode live in Melbourne, Saturday, November the 1st at 4 p.m. Guests, TBC. We've reached out to Dorinda Cox. Bring it back to episode number 1, full circle moment. Who knows?
Just reflect on what's changed, how far we've all come.
That's right. No, we will be announcing some exciting guests in the weeks to come, but
yes,
you can get your tickets now. They are on sale. We'll put the link in the show notes. It's on the Comedy Republic website. They're $30. You can come along, have a laugh, learn something, meet someone, who knows, and celebrate 200 episodes of Green Left podcasting excellence.
We will be keeping it tight because I have to go see Oasis straight afterwards.
That's right. Tom has tickets to Oasis, so no one's allowed to talk to him after the show, and don't laugh too long. Don't laugh too much because we need to get our words out. We need to get out.
We've got to crack on and see the boys do their thing at Marvel Stadium, which will be a fucking nightmare. But anyway, that's not about that. Our live shows are super fun and you should come along. And it's great to celebrate 200 episodes of Serious Danger. But also, we should say, this will be a particularly special moment in the life of the show because after this live show, things are going to change a little bit. Over to you, Emerald Moon.
Things are going to change. Yes. Again, if I were a
nothing
journalist,
changes if nothing changes.
That's right. And something's going to change. Do journalists still tweet some personal news? Is that, I guess there's no journalists left on Twitter. Are they blue skying that?
Some news from me. I did a thing.
News from me. I did a thing. Well, some personal news.
Yes.
Tom and I have been talking for a little while. I've been kind of reflecting on, life and myself and everything, and particularly I've been doing even more of that in the last couple of weeks. But even before that, we had a big year of elections, especially in Queensland. We had council, state and federal all within a year-ish. We had some devastating losses, obviously. We had some kind of disappointments, and now we have all of this time and space like stretching out ahead of us because we haven't got elections for a few years. It's the first time that's been the case for ages. And I, like a lot of people, I think especially in the Greens and especially in the Queensland Greens, are in this reflective and like reassessing period and wanting to step back from just that grind that we've been in for so long and think, Who am I? What is this? What are we doing? How are we doing it? Why are we doing it?
What is a podcast? What the fuck was I thinking?
Exactly.
These are big questions.
Yes. So as part of that, I am going to be stepping back somewhat from the podcast, not entirely, but I'm going to be, after this 200th live show episode, that will be my last on the weekly episodes. Tom will be continuing the weekly episodes with guest co-hosts. I'm sure there'll be some lovely.
No, it's just going to be me, I think. I think I'm just going to.
Just you? Just back to Tom.
Just solo. Yeah, just like I'm just going to talk about what I think for about
Tom
an hour.
Reading the news and yelling and, laughing.
It's just me reading inside the greens, yeah.
Fuck. But yes, I think like making a deliberate decision on my part to step out of the weekly news cycle, because I think that makes it harder when you get caught up in that, I find anyway, to do that big picture thinking. And that's why I kind of wanted to step back from those. But I will be continuing to do the Patreon episodes they come out every fortnight, so that I can, think more long-term, more big picture, have some deeper chats, and tackle some of those big questions that we have time and space to tackle as a movement right now, which is exciting. Yeah.
That is exciting. I mean, yes, obviously, and I'm sure lots of people listening to this will be sad to hear your voice on their weekly, to not hear your voice rather, on the weekly episode and to see you step back. Delighted that you, yes, are still going to be joining people via the Patreon. But yeah, I mean, it's completely understandable. And I know we're about to have a sort of bigger chat about, the thinking here. But yes, I try to constantly remind myself that, as people know, everyone works for a Greens MP 4 days a week, and that's your full-time focus, plus all the stuff that comes on top of running campaigns and just being involved in an active Greens member means that this is a very big part of your life, and taking time to step back and think about bigger stuff is completely understandable. So yes, between now and the 200th episode, everyone will be joining us sort of on the weekly app, and then after November the 2nd, we'll just be moving to the Patreon model.
Yeah. Yes. And I'm like, I think maybe I'll miss it too much, but I think being able to stay on and do those Patreon episodes will be good, because I've been having lots of strategic and theory of change thoughts, reading a lot, like listening to lots of podcasts, listening to the Floodcast episodes that we've mentioned a couple of times on the podcast has been really helpful. Listening to the Tim Hollow episode as well. I enjoyed that because I think, yes, I find a lot of the same thoughts and feelings are coming up for me. I mean, I thought it was interesting listening to that interview, because I did feel like you maybe didn't agree wholeheartedly with what Tim was saying, right? Like I don't know, I kind of picked up this sense that you were like, well, but the Greens, like
But the Greens, right, guys? The Greens.
Yeah.
I'm well. No, I mean, look, Tim is a really deep thinker, and I really appreciated the conversation and the critique. Yes, the critique is one that I have a lot of sympathy for. I guess I'm just constantly brought back to the same position, which is like, okay, if not that, then what? Then what is the alternative? And I really do think that there are limited ways in which we can seriously win progressive change in Australia right now, in this moment, under capitalism as it currently exists. For me, it's a successful electoral project, or it's a very strong organised labour movement, and that's kind of end of list for me.
Well, what is a successful electoral project to you, though? What does that mean?
Yeah, the Greens government, which is what we're going to get one in 12. What are we up to? 12 years?
Oh yeah, how much time have we got? No, we've got 15 years still, because it's 2040, isn't it? Well, maybe not.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh no, it was 18. Yeah, we've got about 15 years. We're fine. We're fine. It's fine. I think, I really agree, or it resonates with me, Tim's arguments around that the system of Parliament in particular, like the systems that we have, aren't working. Although I would say, they are working the way that they're meant to. Arguably, the purpose of the system is what it does, but they are not working the way that we want them to, the way that we were hoping to be able to use them. as a Green left electoral project. And I kind of go back and forth on this, though, because, you know, there's this argument, and again, this was discussed with Max Chandler-Mather on the Floodcast about, well, the Greens were able to get $2 billion for affordable housing in theory through being in this position of balance of power in the Senate and through negotiations on the HAF bills and all of that. But I'm kind of like, yeah, but that wasn't in the way that balance of power is meant to work. That wasn't through, well, these are the numbers that people have elected to the parliament. And so then you sit down and go, okay, this is what you want and this is what we want. Like, we know that, particularly because of Albanese's complete obstinance and just refusal to deal with the Greens. But like Labor just they were not negotiating with the Greens. That was not what was actually happening. That system wasn't working. The only thing that really worked was a sustained and a massive campaign of public pressure and like political education in a way that was waged in the media, in Parliament, but like as a Parliament, as a tool of public communication, and also in a big door-knocking campaign, like a public communications campaign, using electorate office resources, like using the power and platform that comes with being an MP. So it's like, I think, yeah, like the Greens needed to have the MPs that they did in Parliament to achieve that, but it wasn't necessarily using the processes of Parliament that are theoretically set up to negotiate those kinds of outcomes, right?
Right. Yes. Well, I mean, again, it seemed to me like Tim was arguing for an expansive role of what the Greens movement is about. But I guess I was seeking clarification whether, like, you know, do we still run for Parliament? Do we still put effort, time, and resources into trying to get elected to Parliament? I mean, I don't think I ever would have argued that that's the end of the role. But yes, getting elected gives you the platform, gives you resources that then can be directed to play your role as part of the broader movement.
Yeah, you know? I think it's like, and I think maybe, I don't know where Tim would kind of go with this, but to me, it's like, yes, you run for Parliament not to get into Parliament and negotiate, like pass better laws and do motions and stuff. Like, I think you really have to confront the reality that, like, that place is not fucking working for us at all. But the resources and the platform that you get once you win a seat are like absolutely worthwhile. And like when I've been reading and, like I said, thinking about social and political movements throughout history, and also what we can do as the Greens, what we've shown that we can do as the Greens. And like my own experience working in an electorate office. And I come back to like two main ways, at least that I've settled on so far, that the Greens can do and like need to be doing right now. The second one is using electorate office resources, which I'll get into in a second. But the first one is political education. And I think, like as much as you, in theory, you can do political education without getting elected, but I do think it makes a big difference, just particularly in the way that kind of the media works right now and the way that people understand and receive information. Getting elected gives you a platform to provide, like, to give people language and a narrative to understand what's happening right now. I think also, this podcast is also, that's like another reason that I think this podcast is worthwhile. But political education is always, it's important. It's essential. We need to be able to validate people's feelings, like be a voice to remind them that no, you're not fucking crazy. Capitalism is like, challenge the idea that nothing better is possible, challenge the hopelessness that people are feeling by articulating alternatives. And I think really what the big challenge, particularly for the Greens in the face of the attacks that the Greens have been subjected to, continue to be subjected to, the challenge is building this logic of a new world, a fairer world, a sustainable world as the common sense.
Yeah.
Because that's what's consistently being attacked. Like when the Greens are painted as crazy or unreasonable, it's undermining the idea that like our ideas are common sense, when in reality they are. And so that's, I think, a big challenge, right?
Yes, certainly. Interesting. Yes, common sense. Yes, reclaiming common sense is spicy, right? Yeah. Because sometimes I feel like the charge against common sense is Well, it's not common sense because it would require such a drastic or radical change from the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
I often think that's not necessary. Like, it's one thing to sort of have the common sense solution to a problem. Like, if there was no such thing as a class power or political forces arrayed against us, yes, the common sense thing to do would be to make sure that everyone has a home and provide one to everyone for free and recognize that there are basic material needs that should be recognized as rights. I feel like some people say, well, it's not common sense because that would, that's going to piss off the property lobby, and like the kind of radical change in order to implement these common senses ideas are so far-fetched, they are therefore not common sense. So I agree with you. We need to also, yes, articulate and argue for the idea that change is possible, and that we should, yes, the ideas are not crazy. What do we like to say? All that's missing is the political will, or what have you.
Yeah, well, and it's true. And I think, yes, aligning the Greens as a movement with the common sense in a way that, like, we haven't been able to achieve, and I think that's part of what door knocking has that was a big part of what it was able to do, is like you get a normal person to show up to someone's door, be like, hey, here's this normal policy that you probably agree with, and they're like, oh, that's actually, yeah, I totally agree with that. And you can do that quite effectively through having MPs and consistent communications that reach people from the Greens that are like, here's a thing, like, yeah, we should have affordable housing and food on the table. And people are like, yeah, totally, I agree. And it's also like, then I think the other political education thing is, presenting this alternative to the culture wars, like the horizontal blame game, your neighbour's the problem, migrants are the problem, whatever, that is offered by elites to distract from the people who are really making people's lives worse. The challenge there, of course, is like the difference between challenging those narratives and getting sucked into the culture wars, because you can't spend all your time going, that's bullshit. Like, you kind of, I feel as though, you just need to, it comes back to that idea. It's like the idea of hegemony, right? Which is about being, the kind of the dominant social power in a community, and just, yes, presenting it that it is common sense that we have more in common with each other, and we share so many values that are being thwarted and undermined by the greed and callousness of a very, very tiny few.
Yes, I mean, we touched on this or went into this a fair bit in depth last week with Tim, but it's so interesting. So these the debate about immigration comes up. People say, who turned out to the rally said, I'm here because there's too many immigrants and it's putting strain, and my kids can't afford a house and our infrastructure is breaking down. And often the response from the, sensible centrist media is to be like, well, actually, immigration numbers aren't actually that bad, and here's how they were. And it's like, okay, we're already playing in the framing of the conversation, right?
Yeah.
And the left's response will be that, fuck all that noise. You're worried about housing, you're worried about infrastructure, then hate these assholes who have deliberately underfunded and privatized the public sphere for decades and decades and decades. They're the fucking enemy, not an ordinary person from India, heaven forbid, or other countries who are, coming here for a better life and enrich our society and make us better. They're not the enemy. Jesus, no, these guys at the top. Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And again, presenting that like not as because we need to get angry and like, because we're doing politics and so we need to find someone else to blame, but just as like, are you kidding? Like it's really, it's obvious, and it's obvious to most people once you kind of put it in front of their faces. But I say that about anger and all of that, because I also am thinking about what people need right now. And if the Greens are going to establish hegemony, like be a dominant force in Australian politics and society more broadly, and people don't necessarily need, I don't know, maybe I would regret saying this, because I'm like, there is something to be said for righteous anger, obviously. I totally agree with that. But also, I just keep coming back to at the moment that people need like joy and relief, because people are exhausted and hopeless and very sad and isolated. Like, and all of these things I just think if there is a way that the Greens as an electoral movement, and this is, coming back to what I think the kind of the second biggest thing that the Greens can be doing right now, using the powers that you receive when you can get someone elected, is use your resources to deliver relief and joy, to make things a little bit easier for people in their everyday lives through an electorate office, whether it's advocacy or whether it's the, free school breakfasts and meal programs and putting on events that are free for the whole community and delivering, mutual aid during disasters and that sort of thing. Just making things a bit easier for people, but also if there is a way that the Greens can provide a bit of joy through those, not to be all if the revolution doesn't have dancing, but I don't think that's what I mean. But I'm but that is, people desperately need that. And I actually think it's not even just a nice to have. It's that's what you need if you want to genuinely get people on side in the way that is necessary to build a new world, to achieve sustainable change, not just holding on by your fingernails, kind of maybe get someone elected and then see what you can do. The kind of change that we can hold on to. Yeah, you need people on board in that way, and giving them joy is a way to do it.
Yes, but further to that, I would say you might be surprised where you will find that joy. It might come out of some unexpected places. For example, the March for Palestine in Melbourne, when I was surrounded by, over 100,000 of my fellow citizens. Obviously, people are distressed. Obviously, the genocide is horrific and keeps us up at night, and it is very depressing, and there's not a lot of joy there. But the act of being there on the streets, surrounded by all those people, being reminded that I wasn't crazy, being reminded there are all these, people who overwhelmingly see this as wrong and have a vision and a belief in a better world. I don't know if that sounds strange, but that certainly is a moment of joy and solidarity that I was very surprised that you saw people sort of smiling and kind of laughing and is celebrating in the joy of being there and turning out for it and rejecting the bullshit that they've seen because they believed in something better.
Yeah, well, and I think that's right. It's presenting what is something better, showing people that's possible, because it's the same feeling during the weather disasters where the Greens, especially in my experience in Brisbane, have been able to mobilise these massive volunteer efforts, usually through the electorate offices or through a shadow electorate office during a campaign even, to come together and help people. And that's some of the best, honestly, it's maybe that sounds, maybe people won't like me saying that, but it's it feels fucking good when you're there shoveling sand together, you're exhausted and you're actually working on something meaningful, which people don't get to achieve. I think there's that kind of joy that's, but I also think, even just spaces to relax and connect and laugh and all of those things that are also being stripped away from us systematically. And this is why, I went on my little bit of a 4-day work week rant in one of our recent episodes. And I get people's critique. I still do get the critique that it's people are struggling too much to believe in a 4-day work week, so it's not a viable kind of political campaign. But I still feel that, but that's what is needed. Yes, people are struggling because what people want is time. People need a fucking break, and a 4-day work week, which is also a program of kind of economic redistribution. The idea is that you're redistributing hours and you're also giving workers a greater share of productivity gains by reducing the working week at the same level of pay. But just that if people want anything right now, I really do get the sense that if they could have the basics, if they could afford to, they want more time, with loved ones or just relaxing by themselves. And if you're going to, again, I just think that if you, even as an especially as an electoral project, if you're going to win, if you're going to succeed, you need to provide something of that sort. And I don't necessarily know, I don't know what exactly that looks like. A 4-day work week is kind of, though, if I'm talking about where I'm, my argument about using electorate office resources and political education, don't necessarily achieve that. Like a 4-day work week is perhaps more a union, well, maybe it is changing the common sense, but there's other ways surely that the Greens officers and the Greens movement can directly create spaces where people can take back a bit of just enjoying life. Remember that? Not having that you don't have to pay for. You have to pay for everything, you know? And that's fucking sad. And we need to reclaim recreation, I think. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and just, again, remember, there is no law in nature that says we have to have a 5-day working week. And in fact, when they try to introduce the weekend, people said that's ridiculous and we don't have time. That's an unrealistic political proposal. And then it kind of happened because the world is, I think it's a David Graeber quote. It's like the secret of the world is it is what we have made it. We construct everything and we can unmake it and we can change it and we can, believe in something better.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm interested in continuing to pursue what can be done through elected offices, and as we come up back towards election time, I think yes, it will be a matter of can we win more seats because that's how we get more resources to do this. One question I have that's interesting and looking at thinking about the wins in Alice Springs is whether a focus on winning more council seats is part of a strategy that would be about where can you make the most tangible change? Because I know a lot of the time, this is the case in Brisbane where councillors kind of get more access to budgets and control over actually building things in their communities, which I think is a good way forward. But it's funny that I think it's funny that I find myself saying that because that's quite a different strategy to what the Greensland 18-year plan for government strategy has been.
I mean, I guess, do you see all these as sort of either or propositions or a longer term strategy is important and obviously all campaigning and political parties have questions of resource allocation and how realistically, you can expect to win certain places. But, I mean, is it either or is it everything we can do, or is that the strategy that you've been trying in Queensland Greens, which has burnt everybody out and has been difficult to maintain?
I don't know that. Well, there'd be different opinions on whether it's burnt everybody out, but no, I maybe they're not mutually exclusive. I think traditionally there has been kind of a conflict between so broad social democracy and council communism in a way, but you got to try everything, and you can probably try everything at once. No, that's not true. You just, when it comes to resource allocation, you're right. That would be the challenge. But as far as that permits, then strategically it's still worth trying both, right?
Maybe just to simplify or zoom out a little bit, can you feel like you can succinctly articulate what your theory of change was up to this date and what of that, you want to keep and leave, or what are the questions about that particular theory of change that you think isn't working, I suppose?
Yeah. No, I don't know if I could succinctly summarize my theory of change, but I feel as though one particular pillar of it that I'm challenging is the idea that purely through scaring the major party, purely through being we're going to take your seats. And so if the Greens get more votes, then we pressure you to be better until eventually also we win the seats. And then we can, use our numbers in Parliament to push for better policy outcomes and allocation of funding. Those two parts of it, I'm not so sure anymore of. And I think I'm trying to, it's I say I'm zooming out, but I'm actually, what I've been doing at the moment is taking it apart bit by bit and being okay, what are the pieces that do work then? And that's where I come to, I feel as though, yes, having an MP elected enables you to spread political education more, and I think that's valuable. And I think using an electorate office resources to, provide joy and relief works. I've seen that work. And also to build some relationships and community power, which again, I think is necessary if you're going to have the the stronger, the kind of deeper community strength or strength of your movement to sustain wins when you get them electorally.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Well, I disagree, and I think that podcasting is the way to do it. I think we should put all our resources into podcasting. I think the podcasts are our heroes and should be the leaders of the movement.
So true.
And that's why I'll be dedicating between 2 to 2.5 hours a week to this cause.
Yeah. Well, I think that's, like if I'm bringing it back to like, well, how does that fit with me stepping back from the weekly episodes? I'm like, I want to avoid us getting tied up too much in the parliamentary processes and like that world of political reporting that's like, now this bill's coming up and this party's position on it is this and these negotiations are happening, which I think are helpful to look at in the context of going, what is actually happening here? Like, what are the bigger forces at play and how do we understand them outside of the narratives that are being provided to us by the major parties and the mainstream media, but like not getting too caught up in that as a bit of a distraction and a system that is not going to save us, you know? So being able to zoom out and talk more about what might actually fucking work to do the things that we want to do. I want to be doing more of that.
Interesting. Would it be true to say that, like, a lot of our discussion on the podcast, and particularly in the last term of Parliament, has been about what is the Green strategy here? How do we best do this? How do we message it? What's our position? Is it reasonable to hold out for more? Yada yada. Like, that's been a constant back and forth. It sounds a bit more like you're sort of saying there's damned if you do, damned if you don't, or the strategy within the Parliament is kind of a bit of a dead end, I suppose, or because of the forces arrayed against us, because of the way Parliament works and the media is situated, and the force of the two major parties, even as the primary vote declines, we don't perhaps stand a chance at getting the outcomes we want or getting the winning greater support for our actions of taking a more aggressive stance in Parliament. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I wouldn't rule out, like I wouldn't say abandon it completely, but I would say be very skeptical of spending too much time on it is more the thing, because everything at the moment, and particularly, yes, the world of Ozpol and like political reporting and the way that we are taught to engage in politics is totally focused. It revolves around the circus of it and that world and the chamber itself, the chambers, which, like, I think we should be very skeptical of that.
Oh, boy. Yeah. No, it's fascinating. Well, yes, I'm excited to, as I say, work with you on a weekly basis throughout these remaining weeks up until now in the 200th episode, and have those sort of big picture chats on the Patreon. A great plug and a reason for people to pay the low price at $3 a month at patreon.com/SeriousDangerAU to keep Emerald Moon. Keep that moon. It's like OnlyFans, okay? If you want moon access,
that's right. I'm starting OnlyFans *, just doing the Patreon episodes.
Political content. Well, yes, the other thing I would like to say is once again is a sincere statement of thanks and love to you, Emerald Moon, for coming into this whole project with me and saying, yes, I was delighted and stoked and couldn't believe my luck when you said you're up for joining Serious Danger back in the day. And I think I speak for all the Danger Dogs when I say that, yes, your humor, your analysis and your commitment on the show has been invaluable and will remain. But completely understand that, stepping back a little bit is the right decision right now. And I look forward to those big picture conversations. Yeah, we gotta figure something out, hey?
Indeed. Yeah, we got to figure something out. So true.
Everyone's going to figure out the secret to revolution behind the paywall. So,
well, if you do want to join us there, if you're not already a Patreon subscriber, we would love to see you there. All the links to like the Patreon and our social media and everything are at seriousdangerpod.com. But importantly, also the link to buy tickets to that live show, the 200th episode in Melbourne, will be there. We would love to see you there. And we love you.
And we'd love to hear from you, your thoughts on this conversation. I'm fascinated at how people are feeling at the moment across the party, listens to this pod.
Lots of people having lots of thoughts like this, I think. And I may think different.
Tasmania.
Maybe I'll come back in a month and be like, oh no, I was totally wrong. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm sure lots of people have thoughts about all this kind of stuff. And yes, we'd love to hear from you in contacting the show and tell us what you think anytime.
Mwah.
Goodbye, everybody. We love you. Mwah.
Serious danger to Australia.